Okay, welcome to the monthly review of equities. Let's get into this quickly. None of this is financial advice, just what we see and we sharing it. Um, it's dubious speculation. Now let's start with the Dixie. So the Dixie closed very positively, positive close, and we also closed above the resistance here, right? So it's left with a retest, potentially a retest back into this point here. And I think we'll go higher on the Dixie in July. It's also possible that July, we take July to do a retest and then August start going back up again. But this is looking very, very strong at the moment, unless we break these support zones here, then we're going higher. If I bring it to the daily chart, what we can see here is we can see that we've done a, a move up here. We've done a move up here. We've done a move up here. So I won't be surprised, like I said, to see us come back and test these points here, these points, support zones here. These tops become support. So I'll probably, like I said, back here, it could come a little bit lower to somewhere there before you start getting your next leg to the upside. Um, there is no clear divergences that I see at the moment on the daily, on the weekly yet. So higher prices on the dollar most likely, with a minor pullback maybe. Let's move on to gold. Gold is on the monthly chart, we close red and gold. I think gold obviously will come below here and is already down there actually. So next potential target will be somewhere here. I think this month we probably will go lower and then go and take liquidity off this point here. I think so. So I think we probably come back and retest somewhere here first. There will be a retest somewhere here um, before we continue the leg to the downside. If we look at it on the daily chart, what you can see here is we go at dead cross, and dead cross is normally means you are coming to the end of the fall. We do have a dip right here, and we have a dip right here, which is slightly lower than here. And you can see all your RSIs are oversold here, and currently now we're having some divergences in play. So I think probably around, 3.7 where my alert is here, becomes a good place to start picking up some gold for the long term. Because the weekly chart is also oversold. It's getting into the oversold territory as well. So a little bit more left of a downside, but not much. We are on the support zone here, so we are on it at the moment. The week is not closed, so all depends on whether the week closes with us below the support zone, then further downside first. But I think we're getting close to a point where I would like to start thinking of picking up some gold, especially when it gets anywhere near these zones here, these zones in the three, call it between 3.5 and all the way down here to about 3.1. That becomes a good place to start picking up some gold. So that's what we see on gold. Close red, you go lower. But there is a potential bounce to the upside all the way back up to 4.4. So you just got to be aware of that. But there is lower prices coming. Let's move on to silver. Silver also closed red as we anticipated last month, and therefore we would expect lower prices. But again, you could be coming back up to about $71 before that, so just bear that in mind. And good place to start buying it. When all these candles have been exceeded, all these volume bars have been exceeded. So I probably would say somewhere around the 45, 46. That's where I'll be very interested in buying some silver. Let's move on to the next one, which is copper. So copper is on the monthly chart close red. yeah, we could come back into this candle before going down, but lower prices. I think copper will come below, will come towards somewhere here into these really strong support zones here. Potentially we could be coming all the way down to about 3637 zone. This support zone will be the area of interest for me, for buying. So look, more lower prices. This candle here will be exceeded to the downside. So you can expect probably about 460, 460 here. We'll get to this point first, get a bounce, then you get to this point, you get a bounce, then you get finally come down to the bottoms here. So it's not going to come straight down. So you get down, break this, go up slightly, down, go up slightly, down, that sort of thing. So that's copper. Let's move on to palladium. So palladium on the month, close red as well. Okay, so and I think we will go slightly lower. I think this place becomes support. So this place becomes very strong support. So somewhere around 11,160 would be a good place to buy palladium. And of course, we could go slightly lower, but I think this place will be a strong support zone for palladium. Um, so that's what we see on palladium. Let's move on to the next one. And platinum, platinum close red, more downside, but ultimately, you could come back all the way back up to here, which is around the 1,800 zone before. So just bear that in mind. But I expect lower prices on palladium first before we go for the next leg to the upside. Let's move on to oil. So oil is completed the liquidity grab of these big, big, big candles that it's come back to the zone. The gap up is being closed now, fully closed. And I think that potentially we get some support around here where my line is, around the $60 is where I'd expect us to get support on oil and continue the journey back to the other side, I think. So that's what we see on oil. If I bring it to the weekly chart, yeah, it's coming into the support zone, which will be around here. That's where we will be buying oil. So a bit more downside on oil first before the upside. Let's move on to NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ on the monthly chart, it closed red. So you can see we closed red with one of our institutional bulls on it. So there are buyers in the market, but the buyers could not really couldn't push the price back up to above closing. So we closed below the close here. So um yeah, we could have a little bit of a rally, back into this, maybe to here to about three five three 30,500, maybe somewhere 30,600 is potentially possible, but I would expect that we will exceed this candle by the end of July and we'll come back to about 2,700, maybe, and then we'll get support around the 26,600, 26,500, somewhere there. We get support to be able to continue the leg to the upside. If I bring it to the weekly chart, what you see here, daily chart actually is better. What you can see is we've done a clear level move, level one to the upside, level two to the upside, and a level three. And all this here is basically taking stop losses, knocking stop losses, basically. And also we've got trend line here, which is resistance for the move to the upside. Um, so we've done the three moves to the upside. I would expect that, we would be coming down and this place will be initial support when it gets here. And this place will be another support when it gets here. And ultimately, I expect this to come somewhere back to somewhere here, somewhere below here before we get energy to go back to the upside. So that is our view on NASDAQ. I'll be buying from 2,700 down to probably about 25, I say 25.6, 25.7, somewhere there. That zone here would be my zone for buying the NASDAQ again. So that's the NASDAQ, and we'll do the SPX. And the XPX is also similar story as well. You can see here buyers push the price, push, push, push. Can't really push the price above. So it's going to be very similar to this one here, this similar candle here. Likewise, even similar to this one here as well, because here you can see here again, similar. Couldn't close above the closing. Went up slightly, but that was a fake out, and then you fell. So we could do the same thing here. We could go up slightly, could go up slightly to trick everybody else before we come back. And I think when we get back to these tops here, so if I just move this, if I move this all the way back to here, somewhere here will be a place of interest for me to buy the SPX. So that's about a correction of, if we get to somewhere, if we get to here before, you're talking about, yeah, 8% to 9% drop. Yeah. So that's SPX. And then I think SpaceX is a good one to look at as well. So if I go into my 4-hour chart, so SpaceX launched, we went ballistic, boom, and now we came back to slightly below the lows here, and that was support. So people support came back into the market because that's where it opened, and we've moved up. I don't think we're going to gallop to the skies just yet. I think there is another retest. We'll probably play around here for a while before we get going, will be what I say. We've done 3 days in a row. So chances are, and this point here is resistance, where the pre-opening price is resistance at the moment. I'd expect that resistance to be there for a while. And we probably pull back again, down again before we get going, will be what I say. So anytime it comes into these zones is a great area to buy SpaceX. So that's all I've got for the equities. I wish you all the best for the month and God bless and tata.